Hello, I'd like to do a review for a product that I don't presently see any reviews for. That is the Alien Gear holster. The Alien Gear holster is basically a hybrid holster of the type that's become pretty popular now, or you might call it a crossbreed knockoff. That's kind of how I think of it as. You can argue about whether crossbreed was the first or not, I don't really care. They're definitely the market leader. So crossbreed makes good holsters. They tend to cost about $90 by the time you've got them. Alien Gear makes hybrid holsters, and they cost about $30 to $35 by the time they're in your hands. So the things that are cool about them is, one, they're very reasonably priced, and they're not the only one in that price range, though. I've seen 2 or 3 other companies that offer hybrid holsters in that price range. But they typically are thin leather that's not treated. It's not very good quality leather. They're thin kydex, and they're very obviously kind of made one at a time. What Alien Gear does that separates them from the other people in their price category is a few things. One, I'm going to turn this down so you can see. It does conceal even ridiculously big guns pretty well. So that is not really a reasonable carry piece, but it's what I've got. It didn't make sense to me to go blow $90 on a holster for a gun that will probably not do holster duty once I can afford something smaller. So enter the Alien Gear holster here. Unfortunately, I got the one for the rail version. I don't remember whether I ordered that or not, but I don't have the rail style gun, so I'll set that aside. So this is quite thick leather. It's something close to 3/16 inch thick. I haven't measured it. The clips are good. It's set up to be very modular. These move up and down. So they offer lifetime warranty. Like I said, the thing is about $35 ship. It's much thicker kydex than most of these do, and it's molded very neatly. There's a couple things I've changed on it. Since my gun has a laser, which they don't make for my gun, I modified that. I clearanced it a little bit here so it doesn't interfere with the laser. The other thing was I added a couple more of these grommets. I'll get to that in a minute here. So, and the way they made this modular is the leather piece with the studs crimped into it that have screw threaded thing is a standard piece that is the same on all of their stuff. It's also treated leather, I should have mentioned that, so it's essentially watertight. And these studs are in the same location on all of their holsters, so when you order the holster for a different model, all you're getting is a different kydex piece. And one of their gimmicks, I guess you could say, or their sales points, is that if you ever change your gun, for no charge, you can mail them this and they will send you the kydex piece for your new gun, or you can buy it independently. Considering that the shipping would cost about what it costs just to order the piece from them, another plus for them is they're cheap, I doubt they'll ever have to make good on that very often, but you could. So they set this initially with these down low, which would make the gun sit very high, which isn't to my taste. I want the gun pretty low. So I would like it if I had a little bit more range to make it sit lower. They have what crossbreed would call the combat cut with no choices. That's just what you've got. I think I would actually prefer to have the leather there, just in case with some guns the handle will kind of chafe against your side. Personal preference. They list that as a feature. I list it as it's a feature if you want it, but mostly you lost having the option. They're economizing by kind of one size fits all. One thing that they did really nicely was they gave me a package, and I'll actually grab that, with a ton of extra hardware. I don't feel like getting it out, but suffice it to say there's quite a lot of extra handfuls of screws and grommets. There were 4 more grommets than were on the holster, but not as many grommets as to fill all the studs. I went and bought a few of these. Any of the silver colored ones are stainless ones that I replaced for the standard ones. Their system for controlling the tension and any other gaps and friction is a little piece of sliced off fuel hose. It works great. I'm not knocking that. To me that's very brilliant. You'll note that that this leather kind of got chewed up looking almost within 10 minutes of owning it. But it hasn't really gotten any more chewed up than it was at that, and I'm not really worried about it. But it's not going to look perfect forever. So, things I like about it, it's a very comfortable holster that's well thought out. It has the 20-degree rake angle, which you're kind of stuck with unless you want it to be sitting very high up. If you wanted to tilt it back, the only way to do that would be to move this one down, which would have the whole gun a little higher. So you don't really have the option of a super low ride. It's high, or high, or high. But all that said, it conceals fairly well, and with a gun not as ridiculously oversized as mine for carry gun, I don't think you're going to be having any complaints. Another thing I wanted to discuss is on their website they have a checklist of comparing them to other people, and it kind of left a sour taste to me because, well, in general I think the company has a really good model and good policies. They are somewhat riding on the back of hybrid, and the way that they compared their features seemed a little disingenuous to me. So they list, they say we have sealed leather. That's a plus. That's better than hybrid's base model. But then they say something about hybrid and others trying to pass off horsehide. I think they were also comparing to Galcom. I'm sorry, but unequivocally, horsehide is better. It just is. Horsehide breathes. It doesn't wear as much. It costs more. They're not trying to pass off a better product as a better product. It just is. So, don't give me that. Second, they brag about how they don't have logos on their stuff. Okay, a fair point. Logos could give away what it is, but I think anybody who's actually looking close enough to notice the pocket clips will know what it is, and most people aren't going to notice that. Second, they brag that they've all got blacked out hardware for stealth. No, you have blacked out hardware because it's cheaper hardware. Stainless hardware is shiny, but guess what? That's all inside your pants unless you're doing it wrong. And if you really were worried about chrome giving away stealth, you probably wouldn't have done this reflective logo. So, don't assume your customers are stupid. So comes with free combat cut, awesome. Doesn't have the option of full cut, less awesome. That's kind of my only quibble with that. It was inexpensively shipped to me, although I did order it around Christmas time and I had to wait a while, and it was a bit before they got back to me. Fair enough, they're a small business. I'm happy with it, and I would say if you're looking for a hybrid type holster and you don't want to spend $90, this is a pretty good choice, and I'm not sure that the $90 one is going to be a lot better. One thing I don't care for is that these spare studs stick out and kind of can dig into my pants. That's why I got the extra washers, was to put onto these studs. Another thing that I noticed was initially they had thicker pieces of rubber spacers here and longer screws, and my gun would twist sideways so that the trigger guard, let's try to get this in frame, the trigger guard was falling like that. Wasn't a problem, my gun wasn't falling out, but it's meant to slide in forward and not quite lock, but be there pretty solid. In order to get that to come down, I had to trim the rubber and get some more shorter screws. These are 832, and run it down so that the screws weren't sticking out the back. Once I did that, it was fine. So, I don't know, I don't see that there's ever a time when I will want to move this up unless I get a different Kydex for a smaller pistol or something. So I may actually pop these studs out of there. You can see that they're all threaded studs that leave a little post sticking up. I suppose I could have taken one of them off for you to see that. But you get the idea. So it's very comfortable. I'll go and put on a t-shirt real quick so you can see how this looks with just a t-shirt. Alright, so I just wanted to show this holster with some other styles of clothing to show how well it conceals. You'll notice that you don't notice. And again, this is with a ridiculously oversized gun for concealed carry. Here's with another jacket here. Just show you a different style. maybe if I bend there, you can maybe, if you're looking for it, find a bulge. But it's really not noticeable. And here's just the t-shirt. This is a relatively form-fitting t-shirt. You can kind of see some bulges from certain angles if I do weird stuff. But this is normal clothing that isn't making me look like a sack of potatoes, and I've never had anybody notice. Obviously a hoodie sweatshirt does the job just fine. Theoretically, with the way the clips are arranged, if you have it set a little bit higher using the low studs on the belt, you could tuck your shirt on over the gun. I think that would make it kind of hard to get at, and since you can conceal it so well with just a simple untucked t-shirt or any suit jacket, it's kind of a non-issue. One last thing I wanted to say, I think the hardware on these is very good and very reasonably priced. So when I actually ordered a spare pair of clips because I make stuff out of leather, and that has always been the killer point, is most clips aren't good, and even though they're not good, they're not cheap. I think it was $5 a pair off of his website. I'd have to check that again, but he includes lots of extra hardware, and the hardware he will allow to be sold piecemeal is pretty good. So if you want to make your own holster for something different, or maybe a mag pouch or whatever, and you need good steel hardware, I haven't found any wholesaler that sells it as cheaply as Alien Gear does. And hey, may as well get a couple pairs. So there you go. Oh, and just to offend the people who don't like that sort of thing, you can get it at it fairly quickly. Wait, I don't think I've got my face quite in there. So, try that. I've used this holster in IDPA. It works great. I'm sure there's faster rigs, but this is pretty reasonably fast. It's quite easy to safely reholster. Sorry if I blinded you with that flash of my white midsection, but I hope you'll survive the shock and horror. I'm sure there is counseling for that. Have a good day.